overcut the pair of them. Let's keep an eye on his lap times. It's going to be important. I think Suboy's probably gone, realistically, as we see no further action for Zach O'Sullivan finally. But the battle for P2, I think, is between these two cars plus Ayumu Iwasa.
Right, Iwasa's times, 1:25.4 on the last lap. That's a 1/10 of a second slower than Tsuboi. So that's pretty good going for Ayumu Iwasa. If he can keep up with the similar sort of pace to Tsuboi, even a 1/10 or 2/10 of a second off him will do, even if he doesn't outpace him. That could be enough to overlap and get in front of both of these guys. That's genuinely doable then for Ayumu Iwasa. For Toshiki Oyu, I think he's just too far back from Iwasa to really make the gain here. He might be able to split Nigiri and Fukuzumi just. I think that's his best chance, really. But then we've also got to consider what can Fraga do, what can Kakunoshi and Ota do. Well, he's stuck behind Kobayashi, isn't he? So I don't really think he's going to be a factor for the top 5 in this one. What a difference 3 months makes.
Yeah, this is definitely turning into the bogey circuit, I would say, for Kakunoshi and Ota, and you can't really afford to have a race that hosts 4 rounds a year being your bogey circuit, unfortunately, for Ota. But let's see if he can make any more progress. I'm actually surprised. That's relatively few cars that have come in on either lap 10 or 11. Only really, 8 drivers in total, which is much less than we usually see. So there's clearly concerns about how long these tyres are going to last. As we see, Tsuboi, his last lap was a 24.7. He's the only driver in the 24s, apart from those that have put fresh tyres on. Nojiri was on a 24.9 last time around. Fukuzumi 24.8. Makino was the fastest man, 24.4. But Tsuboi on old tyres is quicker than Nojiri and Fukuzumi on new tyres. That just tells you everything, doesn't it?
It certainly does. This is absolutely astonishing pace from Tsuboi. And it's worth coming back to that point you made about how many drivers are staying out because of tyre management concerns. We've got to remember that these are a brand new spec of tyres for 2025 with higher percentages of recyclable materials. So they're not the same tyres that they had last year. The data is different. So if there is a concern, it's consistency of lap times that's going to force people to go slightly longer. If you're staying relatively consistent in those first 10 laps, then you may as well try and commit and stay out that little bit longer just to try a variation.
Absolutely, and I think that the gap between Iwasa and Nojiri is the one we need to look at the moment. So about 37 seconds, but don't forget that Iwasa will have the advantage of new tyres at the end, so he can afford to come out behind Nojiri. It's not like he has to, it's probably not realistic for him to overcut Nojiri, but he's giving himself that offset with lower fuel. He can be even quicker on his new tyres than Nojiri was on his new tyres because he's got that much less fuel. And of course the track conditions by then will be different as well. So that's really what Iwasa's banking on here. That's going to be the battle to watch out for, and he is getting away from Toshiki Oyu. He's not really under any immediate pressure from the Yingling driver. Igor Fraga, they're still ploughing around in P4, doing a solid job, but not looking like he's going to be passing Oyu on track anytime soon, certainly.
Iwasa just did a lap 0.008 of a second slower than Tsuboi. Keep doing that and you'll get into second position net rather than second position temporary. This is really good work from Iwasa, but Tsuboi is just driving around like he's on a slot car circuit at the moment, isn't he? He's just nailed to the road, no issues at all, out in the lead, and this is the circuit he loves the most. I'm trying to figure out what is the most number of victories consecutively on one circuit by one driver in Super Formula. I'm sure Jens Svoboda can tell us, because at the moment he's on 3 in a row. He might even be able to make it 5 in a row by the end of this weekend. Surely that's got to be nudging a record.
Yeah, I don't know how many consecutive Suzukas that Naoki Yamamoto won in his pomp, and of course Kakunoshi Nota's had his fair share of success there recently, but not quite in a row because he missed out on the streak came to an end, didn't it? So I think he had possibly 4 in a row at Suzuka, did Ota. I'll need to check my stats for that, but I know he has won there 4 times in his career. But anyway, for Tsuboi, of course, getting the practice in for his Formula 1 test, which will be taking place at this very circuit on August the 7th, and that will be open to fans. So if you're going to be in the area on August the 7th, then get yourself down to Fuji Speedway. It'll be a very rare opportunity to see a Formula 1 car lapping this circuit, and you will see the reigning Super Formula champion making his F1 test debut.
Do you know what? That's midweek. I'm tempted to hop on a plane for that myself, to be quite fair. It's a great opportunity. And, well, you can say you were there when. Right, they are pushing the limits here on these lap times, aren't they? Fukuzumi trying to stay close to Najiri. But this is such a difficult position to be in. You're in the dirty air, you're trying to make the tyres go the distance, but you're also trying to intimidate the man in front. Look, you can try and push the tyres as much as you want. You can go into the 124.5s, 124.6s as they are if you want, and you can try and push that a little bit faster to get close. But by the time you get there, the advantage is already gone because you've cooked the tyres that little bit longer, so you don't have the longevity in the last 20 laps. It's such a difficult balancing act to take.
Keeping an eye on Algeria's lap times now, 24.8 last time around. So he's taking around 0.8 of a second out of Iwasa a lap, but will that be enough to give him the margin at the end of the race? That's going to be the crucial phase. And Algeria has closed in on Suboy by about 2 seconds, but I don't think he's in the range where he's going to get the lead back at the moment. It's 32 seconds plus the length of the pit stop, so I think you need 39 or 40 seconds. Maybe Algeria's not going to be far away from clearing that, but then he's just going to be defenceless on old tyres at the end of the race, so that you have to take that into consideration. And actually, I'm surprised you've not had any more takers for the pit lane. You've got some drivers further back here, Takaboshi's, Fenestraz tucked up behind Takaboshi. You would think that we're getting towards the halfway stage. It will be half distance next lap. Okay, it is a bit of a no man's land strategy, but you've got to do something different from the car ahead. Otherwise, you end up just stuck behind them in perpetuity.
Here's a devil's advocate argument. How many of these drivers do you think are hoping for a safety car?
Well, some of them will be. I'm sure, probably from sort of Yamashita downwards, they probably know they're not going to score points on merit, so maybe they're in the safety car and pray type group there. But certainly for the likes of Kobayashi, Orta, I mean, Orta's been stuck behind Kobayashi for several laps. I'm not really sure what he's gaining by staying out in particular, other than perhaps hoping for a safety car. But for someone who's in the thick of the championship battle, that doesn't seem like a very sound strategy to me. So we'll have to see how it shakes out, but I'm surely going to see one or two come into the pits in the next lap or two.
What's also fairly distressing for Kakenoshin Ota fans is not only is he stuck behind Kamui Kobayashi for quite a long time, he's used a lot of his OTS. As into the pits comes Atsushi Miyake for the 3-bomb team's pit stop, and that looks pretty well drilled by them. Good job, guys. Oh, well, I say that. Oh, no. Dear, they haven't even got the front right done up. Well, we've mocked KCMG for their bad pit stops in the past. Well, this is a terrible start. They've actually got a problem with that right front.
That looks like a cross thread problem or something like that. Well, they're sending Miyake out. Let's hope we don't have a stationary 3-bond on our hands in a couple of moments' time. Hopefully that was attached properly as they send him on his way. But that's going to put him. Well, Miyake was already not that high up the order. I think he'll be definitely pinned to P22 now. If everybody else has a smooth pit stop as we reach we're past half distance now, aren't we? At end of lap 18, Sugoi still out there, but he's just keeping the gap to Iwasa perfectly in tune at 6.5 seconds. Still lapping in the mid 25s. Nojiri and Fukuzumi in the sort of low 25s, 25.1, 25.3. So he's not losing that much by staying out there.
God, the timing of Atsushi Miyake getting out into the race circuit there at turn 1. He almost clips Tsuboi. It was very close, actually. So Tsuboi got away with that one, like he gets away with most things in Super Formula these days. So he's running out in front, and you are looking at a man who is literally riding the crest of the wave. I spoke to him when we were in Super GT in Sepang. He is so chilled. He properly relaxed about how life is treating him. His racing is going perfectly. He knows he's on course for at least the Super Formula Championship title in 2025, maybe the Super GT title as well.
Well, I'd say definitely the Super GT title.
Yeah, and then he's got the Haas test coming up as well. I mean, the man can do no wrong. Whatever he's eating for breakfast or wherever he keeps his rabbit's feet, a lot of people need it. Such a strange world Super Formula is. There's a man who's been on the podium in Formula 1 a handful of times, and he still hasn't been able to crack the whip and grab a victory in Super Formula in 74 starts. And here he is currently holding up the man who was the dominator in the first 4 races of the season. Kobayashi moving across. Is it a ploy or is he coming in? It's not a ploy. He's into the pits. Well, Kakenoshin Ota is released. So now it's up to the championship leader to just try and get ahead of Kobayashi. That is not really the position he wanted to find himself in.
So that will free up Porter for some hopefully quicker lap times, but he's already shipped 15 seconds almost to Shota Boy. He'll be lucky to get a point or two, I think, as we see Kobayashi come in. Will it be smoother than Fukuzumi's stop? I think that probably is, actually.
That's
yeah,
much
not too
better.
bad. Not too bad. But Nojiri now within 39 seconds of Tsuboi, so he's probably just at the point where he could expect to actually regain the lead on track, but probably only temporarily, unless he can pull off some absolutely magisterial defense on old tyres at the end of the race.
At least 2 KCMG race victories could have happened if the pit stop had been like that one, but Kobayashi cooking it as he goes into the first hairpin. Oh, come on, Kamui. You're not going to stay in front of Kanoshinotta with a move like that. So out in front, Shota Boy, 6.6 clear of Ayumu Iwasa as he goes on to the home straight once again. Over a kilometre long, this circuit straight. One of the longest in motorsport, never mind in Japan. As you charge your way down, this is where you get the full flavour, the full experience of watching these Super Formula cars at speed. As Igor Fraga dives for the pit lane now. So Igor Fraga becomes the first of the Nakajima cars to go for the pit. And this is lap 21 that we're on now. So they've come to the end of lap 20 until Igor Fraga decides, right, it's time to get some fresh boots.
Tomoki Nojiri's been shown the black and white flag for exceeding track limits too many times. So Nojiri needs to watch himself for the rest of the race. Zach O'Sullivan also in the pits from 9th place, but Fraga a bit slow away, very slow away in fact. That's not going to help his position. Rasmussen also in the pits from P10.
Not even entirely sure what that was, because it's not a wheel gun error, but they were just having some difficulties. Maybe Fraga was just having problems getting a gear, because he's going to get out behind Oshima. He's going to get out behind Kazuya Oshima. This is a disaster.
It sounded that way. It sounded like he was revving the engine, but just nothing was. He wasn't actually moving. But he has got out ahead of Kobayashi, so that shows how much time Kobayashi's lost. Because of course he had that moment on his outlap. So, but he might be able to get through here as Fraga's on cold tyres still. This is probably his best chance through this corner.
Looking round the far side, he's going to get level, and he's going to make it happen. It's Kobayashi. Yeah. It's Kobayashi. He'll never surrender that manoeuvre, and he's made it work. Now it's going to be Igor Fraga on a lap fresher tyres that can try and come back at him, and he will try and come back at him. So Fraga's going to try and go round the far side. That's where Kobayashi's going to place him. Can he go long? No, because Kobayashi squeezes him at the radius breaking point there. So that's beautifully done from Kobayashi, all those years of experience. And yes, Iwasa is in the pit lane.
Are in the pits. I don't know why we're not watching that rather than this battle for P13, because this is crucial for Ayumu Iwasa. This is going to decide who's going to finish second place in this race, I think. Kakinori Shinoda, interestingly, staying out. So he's following the Tsuboi strategy. Where is Iwasa going to come out, though?
Not good enough. Not good enough for Iwasa. He's going to rejoin behind... He's going to rejoin behind Makino. So there goes Makino. So it looks as though the long strategy is not the right one.
I think Iwasa was always going to lose out to Nojiri and Fukuzumi, but he's given himself an extra car to pass now on fresh tyres. I think that's the key thing here, because he will have that advantage, quite a significant advantage, although he might have been hoping to go a little bit further into the race. I'm almost surprised he didn't, to be honest, because his pace was still holding up quite nicely. He's got to watch himself here that he doesn't let Senna Sakaguchi go by, but he's now got to pass not only Fukuzumi and Nojiri, but also Makino, so that's just made his path to even to a podium finish, let alone P2, a lot tougher.
I'm not sure the long strategy has really worked on this occasion. The high track temperatures and the high air temperature definitely proving to be a factor. I think the only driver that the long strategy is actually going to turn out to work out good for is going to be Shota Boy, just because of the position that he's in, the advantage he was able to gain in the first few laps. He'll probably come out now, looking at the gap between him and Nojiri, just behind Nojiri, but he'll have the tyres to make it work. The big question is, will he get out behind Fukuzumi? And if he gets out behind Fukuzumi, when does he pit? Because he doesn't want to lose the opportunity. He doesn't want to have too few laps to make a push for them. That's the balancing act here.
Yeah.
Right, here comes Fraga. Fraga's going to try and make the bid here. So Fraga will go side by side with Kamui Kobayashi into turn 1. How dare you overtake me? I'm going to get you straight back again as his teammate Ren Sato comes out of the pits. He's going to try and go round the far side. Kobayashi will be late on the brakes. Can he go slow in fast out to get back on the radius on the inside line? Yes, he can. They're going to be dueling all the way down the run, and it's Fraga in front. Good job.
Very good move there from Fraga, not wilting in the face of the aggression from Kobayashi, giving it back to the veteran there. That was a really good racecraft from Fraga, but he will be frustrated as we finally see Tsuboi in the pits. This is crucial.
So I got a feeling that Tsuboi is going to get out in second, maybe even third here behind Fukuzumi, but as we've already talked about, he's going to have the fresh tyres to take him through the last 13 laps. That's where he's going to have his ability to come back.
He's got to stay ahead of Fukuzumi. I think that's going to be the crucial thing. We can be fairly certain he's going to come out behind Tomoki Nojiri, but will he stay ahead of Nurei Fukuzumi? Because then he'll have a clean road ahead of him to go on the attack. He'll have tyres that are 13 laps newer. So here we go. I think he's going to go behind Nojiri.
Oh, it's going to be tight. He'll go down to the first corner, and Nojiri, yes, he does get in front, but will Fukuzumi get ahead as well? Because we know how cold these tyres can be on the outlap. Tsuboi has got to stay in front of Fukuzumi if he wants to win this race.
I think he's got enough of a margin, you know. This is the critical part of the lap, really. This is where you can really get the temperature in the tyres. Fukuzumi's close, but he's not going to be close enough to have a go here. It's going to be turn 10. It's going to be his last opportunity. He's got to get this exit absolutely nailed if he wants to have any chance. But Tsuboi, I think, will have a decent amount of temperature in his tyres now.
This will be the deciding point of this race if Fukuzumi can get ahead of Sho Tsuboi, but he's not close enough.
No.
He's come so close to getting him, but he's just not going to be able to make that switch. So Sho Tsuboi in second position, only 3 seconds back from Tomoki Nojiri on fresher tyres. He is in the box C. He's done it.
So we only have one car left to pit, which is the other Tom's car, Sacha Fenestrat. So he's very much in the hoping for a safety car category. And I guess from his position, why not? I mean, nothing else is going to save you at this point. Even a safety car would only get him probably halfway through the points finishes at the moment. So it's not been a good day in the office for Sacha Fenestrat so far. But I think now the gap between Nojiri and Tsuboi is 1.7 seconds as they come across the line.
Iwasa on Makino, he's got him. So that is obviously a crucial overtake, not just for the race, but for the championship as well. Iwasa gaining back points on Makino. He's pretty crucial in his championship events, but that's taken him a bit longer than he would have liked. So Iwasa now into 5th position, which of course is going to become P4. But has he got fresh enough tyres to go after Fukuzumi? He might.
I think he'll probably catch Fukuzumi, but then the question is, will he have the tyres to actually go past? There's Kobayashi having to fight a rear gun action again against Kakenoshin Ota in the Dandelion car. So Ota with that slightly difficult... Oh, in fact, Kobayashi got ahead of him.
Oh, my word. And that's how he forced him wide, Kakenoshin Ota, with a combative Kobayashi.
Wow, that was... I'm disappointed we didn't catch that live, but that was quite the turn up there. But Ota, well, he's going to be super frustrated, isn't he? I'm sure he's going to be shouting on the radio for Kobayashi to be investigated by the stewards. Car 64, meanwhile, also with a black and white flag for track limits abuse. So the stewards are getting really keen there on how many times the drivers are running wide here.
Very interesting scenes here, but of course there's not really a lot that Kakenoshin Ota can do against the onslaught from Kamui Kobayashi. There wasn't contact between them. He didn't push him wide. He had to take avoiding action. They're racing drivers. Look, if you're going to go for the gap, you've got to make the move, as there's a bit of smoke now coming off the back of the KCMG, coming back into the pits. So something's gone wrong for Kobayashi. Kobayashi's got a problem.
Yeah, I wonder if he's got a puncture, because there's no way he'd be back in the pits for a second time, voluntarily, let's say. So was there contact between him and Ota? I don't even think there was, but I'd like to see that replay again. Here we go.
There might have been now. Ota dives in. Oh, there's going to be now. Oh, my word.
Right
Kakenoshin Ota diving for the inside of Kobayashi.
Yeah.
And it's definite damage for Kobayashi. Oh.
So slicing the right rear with his front wing end plate. I mean, almost a Dick Dastardly type move.
Tsuboi going for the lead. Savoy takes the lead now from Tomoka Najiri. Well, he got on with it even quicker than I thought he was going to. So, Shota Savoy, before his teammate Fenestraz even comes into the pits, it's done and dusted for Shota Savoy. The win is already on the line.
Yes, I think that's going to be the end as far as the battle for the lead is concerned, but Nojiri's now got a lovely 3-second cushion back to Fukuzumi. And I think they're all going to be, I say that all of them, Nojiri, Sugoi and Iwasa will all be happy that they're gaining ground on Makino because he's the championship leader. As we see Fenestraz coming to the pits, that's the last driver that we were waiting for to come in. And look at the gap between Fukuzumi and Iwasa, it has come down, hasn't it, to just 1.1 seconds over the line. With a side-by-side action here. Kazuya Oshima having a great race on his 100th start.
Look at him go! Round the outside of Toshiki Oyu, he's picked up another place here to hold on to 8th position, which is of course now going to become 7th thanks to Sasha Fenestraz's pit stop. More points for Kazuya Oshima on his century race. Brilliant. That's now P6.
Has he got the special engine mode for his 100th race, I wonder, from Toyota? But that move did look quite easy, didn't it, from the rookie racing car, who's on course for P6. I mean, that would be his best finish of the season. That would be his best finish in 2 years, I think, actually.
Well, I apologise because I said he was overtaking Toshiki Oyu. He'd already done that. He was getting ahead of Seta Sakaguchi. So he's now, well, he's within spitting distance of Tadasuke Makino. Could he actually go after him? Here's the replay of Savoy lining up the move on Tomoka Najiri. God, he just thunders in at the braking zone, doesn't he? Look at him.
But it's the confidence, isn't it? It's not just the new tyres. He saw that's not an orthodox overtaking position there, actually, coming into turn 13. But he just saw the gap open up in front of him and thought, well, why not? You know, I'm the guy with the fresh tyres. I'm the one who's got the pace. Why wait? He could have left it until the final corner or try and set it up into turn 1, which I'm sure he could have done. But if you've got the rubber underneath you, then and you see the door open, then why not? I don't think Nojiri would have been fighting that too hard. I think Nojiri's smart enough to know that the real fight here is for P2.
Well, it's very exciting at the moment because here is the charge forward from Iwasa. Now behind Fukuzumi. This is for 3rd position. And KCMG would dearly love to be on the podium as Kakunoshin Ota now sets the fastest lap of the race. He's finally been released and fired up after his furious squabble with Kobayashi. Can he go after Igor Fraga before the end of the race? He's 7/10 behind him. But Fraga has a similar lifespan of his tyres to Ota, so that could be a bit of a stalemate. This, however, is going to be very different. Iwasa, who's barely used any OTS at all by comparison to Fukuzumi as well, and on fresher tyres, this is almost the slam dunk in waiting.
Yeah, that bodes well, doesn't it, for Iwasa? He's kept a lot of that OTS, and so has Makino, to be fair. So Makino's got plenty of ammunition to defend against this man, Oshima. And not being told that Nojiri is 4/10 quicker, I'm not really sure why that information is particularly relevant to Oshima, because he's battling Tadasuke Makino at the moment for P5. And look at Iwasa now, he's forced Fukuzumi on the defensive. I think Iwasa won't be close enough this time, but I think the move is coming anytime soon. He's actually on the OTS at the moment, is Iwasa. They both are, in fact.
Yeah, this is proper defense from Fukuzumi, and he'll need to be, because Iwasa is not going to back down from this. He will need every single opportunity to try and get himself up into 3rd position. But with Najiri low on OTS and Iwasa high on OTS and on better tyres, if he can get ahead of Fukuzumi quickly, there's time and opportunity for Iwasa to go ahead of Najiri as well. So this is a big moment in Ayumu Iwasa's career. He's not a rookie anymore. That was last season. He's got to now show himself as an established fighter in this championship. Have the confidence, Ayumu. Go on. Go and push him to his limit.
This is what Honda wants to see. I saw a comment in the Japanese media not too long ago, basically from Koji Watanabe, the boss of HRC, saying he wants to see a bit more from Iwasa. So almost trying to push his protege on to try and achieve a bit more. That first win, of course, still waiting. It's not going to be today, but if you can get on the podium, that would be I'd say a satisfactory result for the second of the moving drivers in this particular race. And he's certainly got the car underneath him to do it. So let's see if he can get the move done this time.
He might be able to get a second place. That's definitely on the cards if he can get ahead of Fukuzumi on this lap. He's really got to go for it. 29 laps done, 7 to go. He's not close enough though to Fukuzumi, who's still using OTS to defend down the straight. Then it's Makino, P5, Oshima, P6, great run. Then Sakaguchi, Oyu, Fraga and Kakanoshi Nota. Those are the point scorers at the moment. Sato and Yamashita are going to be left with nothing if it stays like this, as Kakanoshi Nota now closes up on young Igor Fraga. Now, here's an interesting narrative. If Kakanoshi Nota does get a full American campaign and has to bow away from Super Formula, this is a job advert for someone of the likes of Igor Fraga. This is how good I am. I can go toe-to-toe with Kakanoshi Nota and show that I'm good enough.
Speaking of Orta, there's 2 investigations at the moment. There's one for Kobayashi forcing Orta off the road at this corner, turn 10, and then the other is for the contact that we saw that gave Kobayashi the puncture. So we'll keep an eye on that. Car number 20, that's Mitsunori Takaboshi, has a black and white flag for track limits violation. So it's been a busy time in the stewards' room in this particular race. They seem to have really clamped down on track limits. I don't recall seeing this many warnings given out during a race at Fuji. As we see Iwasa following Fukuzumi closely, I think he might be close enough this time to have a look into turn 1. He's almost running out of opportunities now. I think he's not going to be able to catch up to Nojiri because there's now 3 seconds between Nojiri and Fukuzumi.
Got to do it now, Ayumi. He's going to charge near it. Fukuzumi's going to make it as hard as humanly possible. He'll try and outbrake him.
Ooh.
Has he overshot? He goes wide through turn 1. He's got to turn back on the radius. Good job. Yes, he rotated perfectly to make sure that he got through the corner without incident. And Ayumu Iwasa, the firepower was ready, and he exerted it. Good job.
Yeah, well, that's a move that should have been coming for a while, because Iwasa, don't forget, it's on much fresher tyres. But I have to say, Fukuzumi, considering A, he didn't do any long runs on Friday, and B, he was one of the first. I think he was the first in the pits on lap 10. He's doing a great job. The long run pace is actually not that bad, and looks like P4. I think he's got enough. I don't think Makino's going to catch him in 3 seconds in 5 laps somehow. So I think he's on course to get another solid finish here.
It's almost an act of defiance, isn't it, from Nino Fukuzumi? You're going to penalise me? You're going to take me out of practice? Who needs practice? I can get a podium without one. I mean, he can't quite on this occasion, as we know, but the effort has been fantastic. Shotsuboi charging down to complete lap 31, and that'll be 5 laps remaining. His lap time, that's incredible. He's still doing 124s fairly deep into this. Yes, he was one of the last to pit, but he's done a 124.7. That's very impressive indeed to keep these tyres going as long as they have. And he's now pulled 5.5 seconds on Tomoka Najiri. He is just such a bandwagon Shotsuboi. I do not know how he keeps finding this pace within himself. Here we go, down to the first corner, and it's going to be tight for Otter, who's already fired up. He's got to go round the outside of Fraga.
Whoa.
Oh, he's getting himself into battles. He just doesn't need to be taking these risks. He's already run the gauntlet with Kobayashi, and already under one investigation, he's getting angry. This is Kakanoshi Nota with the red mist.
Well, he's on course for 1 point at the moment, isn't he? Oh, a lot of moving around there as Fraga gives him the cold shoulder heading into turn 1, and it's like, oh well, I think he's in the mood to just gamble, isn't he? He's a bit of contact there, I think. He does need to be careful there, but I think he's in a nothing to lose mode here.
You've already done that once.
I don't think he cares if you lose 10th place.
Well, no. You've already done that once with Kamui Kobayashi and caused them a puncture. You can't afford to do that with too many other cars, otherwise you'll get nothing. But he knows that being in 10th position is not any good. He's got to go for it and go for broke, because Tsuboi is leading. He is going to lose the lead of the championship if it stays like this to Shotsuboi.
And Makino is leading at the moment.
Well, Makino
is going to lose it.
Yeah, Makino's going to lose the lead of the championship as well, because although Makino will overtake Otter's total, Tsuboi's going to overtake both of them because he'll have a perfect 20.
Makino's got more at the moment. Makino's currently 4 points ahead, but he needed to be P4 to match Tsuboi's total, and he's not. And it doesn't look. He has closed in actually by a second on Fukuzumi. He's still got a lot of his OTS left, so maybe I've written him off a little bit too soon for P4. That would put him on level points with Tsuboi. Otherwise, Tsuboi moves into the outright lead in 4 laps' time.
And Makino is now below 2 seconds back. So could we see a dead heat in the championship fight by the end of this race. We're only going to see that if the move comes in the next 4 laps. So it's going to be very tight to the end here. Shotsuboi still out in front. Tomoka Najiri second from Iwasa, Fukuzumi and Makino, with Kazuya Oshima, the man on your screens, doing an amazing job here. He's actually, for me, a potential candidate for driver of the race. If you're going to vote that way, he's not a bad shout.
Yeah, he was third, wasn't he, in the rankings that we saw a moment ago, behind this man, Shotsuboi, with more than half of the vote, and Nojiri, I think, second in that ranking. So Oshima with his fair share of admirers amongst the SF Go viewers here as we come down now. 3 laps to go, 6 seconds. He's in command, he's in control. There's Saida-san, his engineer. It's just such an effective combination, isn't it? This it was effective with Ritomo Miyata, but it's even more effective with Tsuboi. I think Tsuboi is really reaching heights that we've not seen probably since Nojiri was in his absolute peak. And actually Nojiri's done well to kind of evolve himself and fight back from difficulties. You know, he's kind of watched the Super Formula car almost evolve away from his style. The way it was in sort of 21, 22 was perfect for him. And then it's moved away from him progressively. And actually Iwasa's catching up, isn't he? Less than 2 seconds separating the pair now.
Fenestraz having a nice duel here with O'Sullivan, and that'll do. Sasha Fenestraz gets in front of Zach O'Sullivan as the international wing of Super Formula goes to battle. Argentina versus Great Britain. As Sasha Fenestraz gets in front, it's not for points, unfortunately, but it is for pride. And I was just going to make the point about Ayumu Iwasa. If he's going to get second position off Tomoka Najiri, it's going to happen on the very last lap, because he's gaining about half a second to 0.6 of a second per lap, and the gap is down to about 1.8. But when do Mugen intervene? Do they just let them race each other? Do they just say, look, if you can get him, go after him?
Yeah, I don't think there'll be any team orders at this stage of the season. I think, you know, both drivers have a more or less equal chance of the championship. They're both kind of outsiders, really, P4 and P5 in the standings. So I think it'd be very unfair on them to order Iwasa not to attack. So I imagine it will be fair game for Iwasa to try and pass Nojiri, but he didn't gain that much time on that last lap, only 3/10. He's going to have to take out a bit more than that. So maybe Nojiri just responding slightly to the threat of Iwasa. He'll obviously be being told over the radio the situation, knows he needs to go a little bit quicker just to make sure he keeps second place under lock and key. And Iwasa, well, he saved a lot of OTS, didn't he? But well, he's almost got enough to just hammer the button now. Almost, he's probably got about just under a lap's worth, hasn't he? Because it's 200 seconds total. So maybe he's just going to have the button mashed for the final lap here.
He's definitely eating up the road quickly. I just don't know if he's got enough time. I can tell you that even if Tadasuke Makino puts the button on now and keeps it there, he's got plenty of OTS, but he's not going to gain enough ground, I think, on Fukuzumi until the end. He's going to give it a try in the hope that he can go down that long 1 kilometre straight and eat up the road. That's Iwasa's best chance, of course, because he can go down this long straight once with the button flat on, and then he can do it again a second time, and Najiri's going to respond on this lap. I just don't think he's going to quite have enough time. Tsuboi, however, is going to do exactly what he set out to do and what he threatens to do every time he turns up to Fuji Speedway. Dominate. Najiri, second ahead of Iwasa. Iwasa is gaining ground big time, and Najiri is going to run out of OTS in 10 seconds, so he may as well just keep it going to the end here. But I think Iwasa is just going to go full guns blazing.
I think he's just going to miss out. I think he's left it a tiny bit too late. There's news on more black and white flags. It's been a real black and white flag fest today, but both Ota and Kobayashi, for those 2 investigations of what they both get a black and white flag. So prizes for everybody, but this race has got to be a new record for the number of black and white flags doled out, I would have thought. I think this is the last realistic chance for Iwasa to make the move, and he's just not close enough.
He's not close enough. No, it's not going to happen for Iwasa. He's tried every trick in the book. and I don't think he's going to make it there, so he'll have to settle for third position unless something very dramatic happens in the last two corners. No drama at all for this man, Shotsuboi, fighting for the Super GT and Super Formula Championship in the same season for the second year running. He is the king of Fuji. It doesn't matter what you throw at him, you cannot beat this man when he's on form. Shotsuboi dominates in round 6 in Super Formula 2025. He gets the victory he deserves. Second place is going to be Tomoka Najiri, just ahead of his teammate Ayumu Iwasa, who drag races with him to the line, but he can't quite make it in time. Fourth position will be Nirei Fukuzumi in front of Tadasuke Makino. Ladies and gentlemen, we have a new championship leader. It's Shotsuboi, Kazuya Oshima, 100th race, P6. What a performance, take a bow.
Yeah, so confirmation then. So with Makino earning only 6 points for P5, Tsuboi takes the lead by 2 points. There is Amy Saito, the wife of Shotsuboi, who was victorious in her Kyoto Cup sprint race earlier today. She's got another race tomorrow. Will it be? So it's another husband and wife double for today. Could there be a double-double with another race for both members of the couple tomorrow? This man Shotsuboi and of course Amy Saito in the full race of the Kyoto Cup. Thanking the team, using the word "saiko" just means the best, or the feeling on top of the world. So Tsuboi, his fan club there, they're happy. They came to Fuji to see this man do the business, and he gets the clean sweep with the fastest lap as well. So just nobody has an answer to show Tsuboi around this circuit in race trim.
Got to remember, of course, that last year Amy Saito got the victory in Kyoto Cup, and then Shotsuboi went on to win the Super Formula race after that. So that's the second year in a row they've done that at Fuji. Here's Najiri's radio.
Najiri giving quite a lengthy summary of his race there, but essentially saying I think we've managed to keep up the good performance from Autopolis, so fairly satisfied overall. Makino saying that was tough. I didn't have any race pace, so P5 is all Makino could do from what, 6th on the grid, so I think he'd have been hoping for more. He would have been hoping to have a sniff at the podium just to at least keep the lead of the championship, but he's probably lost the lead of the championship earlier than Dandelion would have been hoping for, to be honest, with 3 more races of this circuit yet to come.
Here's Oshima's radio.
Oshima just saying had a little bit of oversteer, but other than that, the car was great. So that was good to see Rookie Racing looking more competitive. There is Akio Toyoda, the team owner of Rookie Racing, and of course the chairman of the Toyota Motor Corporation, the big boss, really the driving force behind Japan's involvement in motorsport over the past sort of decade or so. And he'll be happy that it's one of his company's engines and teams in the form of Tom's that's managed to get the win today. And that is the 4th in a row, isn't it, for Tsuboi at this circuit? So that Jens Sabota has been furrowing through the record books. He reckons Orta's had 3 in a row, so that surpasses that. So that might well be the most in a row at any circuit by any driver. I don't know how far we're going to have to leaf through the record books to actually confirm that fully, but for now I think we can say it's certainly in recent times it's a record.
Well, what an incredible performance from Shotsuboi. It really has been dominant. Dominant in a way that even Shotsuboi fans have to be impressed with. Excellent race from the man who now goes back into the lead of the championship at the halfway point. And considering what we've got left in this season, we've got a second race here tomorrow, 2 more races at Fuji later in the season, and a race at Sugo, and then we've got the 2 Suzuka races. I think it's fair to say this is a championship for Shotsubois to lose now. Driver of the race, over half the vote. I'm not at all surprised, and it really is hard to look at anybody else other than maybe Kazuya Oshima But what a performance from Shotsuboi. The king of Fuji is back and still unbeatable.
So that's a 7th career win for Tsuboi, puts him level with Yuki Sekiguchi, Takashi Kogure, and 2-time champion Suge Matsuda. So he's climbing the ranks pretty steadily there. He was already the 2nd most prolific race winner besides Tomoki Nojiri. But with 3 more races to go at Fuji this year, he could end up with hitting double figures before the end of the year. There's Amy, his wife, congratulating him. Jun Yamada there, in the background as well, the boss of Tom's, and there all the mechanics piling in the congratulations. Perfect, says the one of the Tom staff there. The question for me is, when does it get to the stage where the boy winning at Fuji is just so expected, it's almost like just going through the motions and there's no emotion at all, as Oshima comes back to Toyoda-san, Kaji-san, there's Ishiura, Takahashi-san there on the left, he's the boss of TGR, so he's got all the big wigs in his garage. And he's got a smile on his face, a great way to end his 100th race at this level.
What an amazing job today from Kazuya Oshima. That was a tough race. That was a really tough race. But he knew that with a century of experience behind him, a century of race performances, I should say, not 100 years, obviously, but 100 races, it was a good opportunity for him to showcase that he still has plenty to do in this competition. He's not the oldest driver on the grid. He's definitely still a safe pair of hands, but then so is this man. And honestly, if that smile gets any wider, he's going to be touching his ears, isn't he? That man just cannot do any wrong at the moment. What a performance so far. Super Formula, top dog. Super GT, top dog. Now Haas want to put him in their car in Fuji. I'm about to go, look at that from Amy Saito. Just check out my husband. Wonderful scenes.
Kaji-san as well, he's the team owner of Tom's. He's seen many drivers have success in his cars, but Tsuboi, I think, is going to be challenging soon for even the most prolific race winners for Tom's. Just looking at the records, a scene that's becoming very familiar, isn't it? The husband and wife combination of Tsuboi and Saito.
はい、放送席スーパーフォーミュラ第6戦決勝を終えまして3位表彰台に輝きましたチーム無限岩佐歩選手です。チームメイトに迫る、ファイナルラップまでの戦い、非常に印象的でした。振り返ってみていかがでしたか？
そうですね、予選からちょっとペースがなくて、昨日も順位こそは良かったですけどフィーリングも良くなくて、ちょっとここまでいいパフォーマンス、本来スピードっていうところまでいけてないんで結構苦しかったですけど、その中で今自分たちが持っているものの出せる結果を出せたと思うんで、悔いはないです。もちろんちっちゃい落とし、改善点、ドライバーの課題もあるんで、そこを改善して明日しっかり予選から改善、さらにパフォーマンスをしていけたらなと思います。
today's performance, try and bring out the strengths of the car even more, and we'll try and do a better job tomorrow. So that's not the most frustrated he's looked, is it, after a 2nd or a 3rd place? I think he knew he didn't have the pace to match Nojiri on this occasion. Let's hear from Nojiri now.
2位表彰台で戻ってこれたっていうのは一つ喜ばないといけないかなと思うんですが、やはりもう少し追い詰めることはできたかなと思うんで、そこは反省点ですね。個人的に最近オートポリスから GT セパンとそして今回とに続きが多いので、なんというか
a lot of second places lately, including Sepang Super GT with ARTA and
自分を見失った瞬間に終わりだと思うんで、しっかり地に足つけて、一歩一歩プッシュしていきたいなと思います。また明日もね、
we need to kind of keep our feet on the ground, try and find what we're missing to match Tsuboi, and I think a little bit of frustration there from Nojiri. I think he felt like having got ahead of Tsuboi on the road, he had a chance to try and hold him off, but in the end it just wasn't possible. Tsuboi's pace was just too strong. Let's hear from the main man.
ありがとうございます。やりました。
Congratulations, thank you. I did it, says Tsuboi. And so another double win with your wife, Amy Saito, says Emily.
なんか恒例にいやでもなんかそのレース前も本当に
妻が先に勝ったので、彼女勝ったんだから分かってるよねみたいな話をめちゃくちゃされたんで、彼女はね予選決勝と完璧にこなしてくれたんですけど、僕ちょっと予選負けたんで、それは明日へのリベンジとして、今も本当に決勝はもうめちゃくちゃペースよくて。本当にぶっちぎりで優勝することができたので、今までの富士の内容よりさらにいい内容だったのかなと思うので、ただまだ明日レースが残ってますし、予選ポール取りたいというのもありますし、まだまだ課題も残っているので、しっかり明日もこの調子でステップを踏んでしっかり明日もいいレースできるように頑張りたいと思いますので、また応援してください。
Not only targeting the win tomorrow, but also pole position. I think he was upset to miss out on the pole by such a small margin and wants to make sure he puts that right tomorrow.
かっこいい姿を見せてくださるんですけれども、チームの
Now
皆
let's
さん
hear
から
from
見てはいか
Tachisam,
が
the
です
owner
か。
of Tom's.
すごい夫婦ですね、しかし。
So they're a brilliant couple, aren't
予選でね、奥さんが1位で、坪井君は2位だったんで、それもちょっと負けてるとか言ってましたけど。でも
So we can say that Saito was on pole for her race, so we can say that Savoy is actually losing out to his wife on that front. So actually, are we going to hear from Saito? I think we are.
ご主人のこの優勝を見ていかがでしょう。
すごいペースも速くて、もう私も勉強になりました。
ご自身はポールトゥウィンでしたよね、今日は。
Seeing Savoy so quick, it's a really good chance for me to learn. I'm sure Savoy's going to be sharing all the tricks to go quicker around this place with his wife.
今日感じました。すごいレースでした。
見習って明日頑張ってほしいと思います。
わかりました。ではモータースポーツ界最強の夫婦のお二方にも大きな拍手をお送りいただきたいと思います。第6戦 winner バンテリンチームトムス。
This has almost become sort of Savoy's calling card, hasn't it? Something that kind of marks him out from the other, apart from the fact that he's doing so much winning, but just it sort of adds an extra human element, doesn't it, to his success, which is lovely to see.
Well, it's kind of a rarity that you get a driver winning from another championship coming into the interview for the win in Super Formula. Special circumstances, I gather, for Amy Saito, the winner of Kyoto Cup, of course, being the wife of Shota Tsuboi. But yeah, this is an interesting talking point, isn't it, going into tomorrow, because we now have a fascinating duel for tomorrow, because of course we get to do qualifying all over again and a race all over again. If you are the guys at Dandelion, you are not going to have an early night. You're going to be in that garage looking over everything. You're looking at apex speeds for Sector 1. You're looking at tyre temperature longevity. You're looking at everything to beat these guys. Shota Tsuboi, Tomoki Najiri, and Ayumu Iwasa, top 3. Fukuzumi, a brilliant P4 ahead of Makino P5. Then Oshima in his 100th race is 6th, ahead of Sena Sakaguchi, Toshiki Oyu, and then Kakenoshin Ota is only 10th. Can you believe it? The championship leader only comes through for P10 behind Igor Fraga. Then Sato, Yamashita, Fenestraz, O'Sullivan, Koide, Rasmussen, Takaboshi, Kotaka, Nanaka, Juju Noda, Atsushi Miyake, and Kamui Kobayashi, who did finish the race, albeit in last place. Not a single retirement, barely even a yellow flag in that race, Jamie.
Yeah, a lot of black and white flags for various infractions, mostly track limits related. But yeah, in terms of incidents, okay, we had the contact between Ota and Kobayashi, but with sending Kobayashi into the pits. But apart from that, it was all very clean, wasn't it? Kind of the standard of racing we've come to expect in this category.
So it's been a fantastic charge forward from Shota Tsuboi. He led Tomoki Najiri lead early doors, but it didn't take him long at all to fight for the victory in earnest, as there was a good challenge down to turn 1 for several drivers. Tadasuke Makino unlucky in the first corner to be squeezed. Could have been top 5, ended up down in P7. Shota Tsuboi attacked as early as physically possible to get ahead of Tomoki Najiri, who then had to cover and defend like crazy. But it was only on the first lap, at the end of the lap, that Shota Tsuboi timed his move into the lead to perfection. After that, the race became very much about tyre strategy and an interesting pit stop battle. Ayumu Iwasa was one of the last to pit, Tomoki Najiri one of the first to pit. And Shota Tsuboi deciding to go wheel-to-wheel very early doors with Tomoki Najiri after his run. It didn't take him long at all to get the tyres up to temperature, and once he did, the rather unorthodox move got him into the lead without difficulty. There were races behind, there were battles all the way through. Kazuya Oshima put on a great show in his 100th race, but there were no crashes, no yellow flags, no safety cars, a proper, pure, no-holds-barred race of wills all the way down the paddock. Ayumu Iwasa was able to work his way around the outside of Fukuzumi, but he ran out of time to do the same thing to his teammate Tomoka Najiri. So it's a Mugen 2-3 on the podium behind the dominant king of Fuji. Another win for Shotsuboi. 5 of his career 7 victories have now come on the Fuji Speedway circuit. Absolutely extraordinary from the man on top in Super Formula, Shotsuboi. So the halfway point of the season, and he has now taken the lead of the championship, Jamie. And it's very hard to see with 3 more races to come this season. Look at that, 2 points ahead of Makino now. It's very hard to envisage a season with 3 more Fuji races in it and Shotsuboi in this form, where he's not going to just pull away out front.
Yeah, Dandelion really needs to find something. Mugen wasn't far away today, but certainly Dandelion, I think, will be the most frustrated of the top teams after today. They still have the lead in the team standings, but look at that reduced gap. 30 points now ahead of Team Mugen. So that does show that if a particular team has a good result with both cars, 2-3 finish today for Team Mugen, that gap can actually come down surprisingly quickly. So Dandelion, with work to do, certainly, but mainly in qualifying, it has to be said, because that was really where I think they lost the battle today. Okay, the race pace wasn't amazing, but if they'd qualified where we're used to seeing them, then they would have been in a much better position to at least mix it with the Mugens, at least bank the points necessary to stay in control of things. But like you say, there's just nobody that can match Toms and Shotsuboi at this circuit, and it's such an advantage now. It's 4 races at this circuit, only 3 last year. It's genuinely quite terrifying, I think, for the rest of the field. There's no other way of putting it.
And it's probably the kind of form that's just going to remain and remain. Let's say Shotsuboi is still in Super Formula next year and the year after. It's very hard to envisage him dropping in form the way he currently is. So fascinating stuff here, and it's just going to look like it's going to continue the way things are currently running. So it's certainly been an exciting duel all the way through in this 6th round of the championship. But Ayumu Iwasa goes to the 3rd step of the podium, and I think he'll be disappointed. I think he could have had a bit more from this race, and he will feel the pain of that.
Yeah, this is a circuit where you would probably expect, especially in hot conditions, you'd expect Iwasa to have the edge, or traditionally that side of the garage, you know, also including the likes of Liam Lawson. There's Watanabe-san, the boss of HRC, watching on. Iwasa would have the edge, but Nojiri really has made a step, not enough to quite take the fight to Tsuboi, but not far off either.
Honda still have a very competitive package in Super Formula, I think it's fair to say, but nobody's got as competitive a package as Shotsuboi, just on his own, because even his teammate Sasha Fenestraz doesn't have the same pace. As we hear the Japanese national anthem, of course, for our man on the top step, Shotsuboi. What a commanding performance it has been in this race. And guess what, folks? He can do it all again, the same way, in the same place tomorrow. Just an astonishing opportunity for Shotsuboi. So talking points heading into tomorrow then. Mugen have got plenty of pace here. They just haven't quite got the same as Shotsuboi. But if you're the squad at Nakajima and if you're the squad at Dandelion, there's going to be a crisis meeting tonight, isn't there? There's definitely a lot of pace to find, and I wouldn't be too surprised if there's some late nights in those 2 garages.
I think we're going to see pretty similar weather conditions tomorrow. I don't think there's a great deal of difference predicted in the weather forecast, so that means might be slightly warmer tomorrow, just looking at the forecast at the moment. So that's going to be something to look out for. Maybe a little bit more, a little bit less cloud cover, because it's a little bit overcast today, even though it is very warm and sunny. The track temperature is not as high as it might end up being tomorrow. So that's going to be something to look out for. But in the end, it's difficult. That is the difficult thing about Super Formula, really, isn't it? It's predicting how the conditions are going to be on any given day, and of course going out fairly early. It's going to be 9 a.m. or just after 9 a.m. local time. Sorry, 10 a.m. I should say. It's an hour later tomorrow for the qualifying session, which is so important here. Okay, we do see, you know, we do see overtaking and race pace playing a big role here, but actually the finishing order was not that different from the starting grid. Really, it was only Toshiki Oyu that sort of lost out the most of all in 8th place, slipping from P4. But other than that, everybody's pretty close to their starting position, so it is important to try and get that qualifying nailed.
And I mean, it is important, the qualifying session tomorrow. More important, I would say, than today's was, because there's a genuine possibility if we get a similar situation today, tomorrow, if we get a similar situation today to tomorrow as well, then we're going to leave Fuji with the genuine prospect of Shota Tsuboi being at least 20 points clear of Tadasuke Makino and Kakunoshi Notta in the championship fight. He could go from being on the charge to disappearing into the distance.
Yeah, that is the worry, I think, for the other teams, but at least they now have the opportunity to prowess to try and find a way back, and that's going to be important for Team Mugen. It's going to be important for Dandelion also, as Tachi-san claims the rice that comes with victory for his team. I think there's going to be pretty short odds on a repeat of that performance tomorrow.
Well, let's talk about who it didn't go right for and who it did go right for, because we talked a lot about Kazuya Oshima. I'm actually very impressed with the Inging team, Sakaguchi and Oyu. Yes, they slumped a little bit in the case of Toshiki Oyu, but double points, very important when you've got teams like Kondo and Impel to go racing with week in, week out. They managed to get a double points finish, very important for them, when KCMG only had one of their cars coming home in the points as well, so that's an important one. Long faces at Kondo, long faces at Sasha Fenestraz's side of the garage, and probably for Shun Koide as well. 15th he slumped to in the end. He probably wanted a lot more from that race as well.
Good drive from Sena Sakaguchi in P7, who actually jumps up a few positions in the driver's standings because everybody was very tightly bunched. So Sakaguchi, I think, is now up to P6 in the standings, behind the kind of the 5 protagonists, if you like. Nobody else really finding consistency, with the likes of Kenti Yamashita failing to score, Ren Sato failing to score in P11. Igor Fraga only getting 2 points on the board, so it's Sakaguchi that goes up into P6 in the driver's standings.
So the big movers and shakers, obviously Tsuboi taking the win, Ayumu Iwasa coming up from 5th on the grid to 3rd place, but Kazuya Oshima, I mean, I know that everybody voted for Shota Tsuboi as driver of the day, and I do get it, and I do understand why, but we have come to expect this kind of performance from Shota Tsuboi of late. I would actually agree with the other alternative, and that's Kazuya Oshima. 13th on the grid to P6. In a field like this, when you're making your 100th start, that can't go unnoticed.
We'll actually hear from Oshima later today in a special press conference to mark the 100 races for Oshima. So I wonder if there's going to be any news coming out of that. We'll let you know in tomorrow's broadcast. But like you say, a very satisfactory way for Oshima to conclude race number 100.
Certainly a great run for the Mugen team and for Shota Tsuboi. They claimed the silverware in this first race of the weekend, but there's a lot of battles still to come here at Fuji, because we get to do it all again tomorrow for qualifying and the race. A big hearty congratulations to Shota Tsuboi, and a big thanks as well to my colleague Jamie Klein, who now has to disappear and go straight into the world of journalist, because all of the reactions from all of the drivers you'll hear post-event from Jamie Klein in the various media outlets. A massive thanks as well to Jens Sabota, who's been very good indeed with us again on the stats, telling us that Otter has 3 in a row in Suzuka, but Tsuboi has 4 in a row at Suzuka. Certainly in the modern era, that's the best any driver has done on any one circuit consecutively. Very impressive indeed. And considering that all 5 of his Fuji wins have been in such flamboyant style, 4 of them in a row now in consecutive visits, that's very impressive. But win number 7 for Tsuboi, does a fantastic job ahead of Tomoka Najiri and Ayumu Iwasa. The crowd get to walk around on the start-finish line to wrap up today's proceedings, but they'll get to come back and enjoy exactly the same day as they had today, just 24 hours later. Slightly later starting time for qualifying for tomorrow, because we'll be kicking off a little bit later on in the day by comparison. Qualifying is going to be at 10 o'clock local time rather than 9 o'clock local time, but the race will, as ever, be at 3 p.m. And don't forget that tomorrow is the longer race with no pit stop window. So drivers can literally do the first lap and then come straight into the pits if they want to get their mandatory stop out of the way. And it will be fascinating to see how many drivers choose to do that in what's going to be one of the most fascinating races. Just because it went a certain way today doesn't mean it will go the same way tomorrow. For some people, Tsuboi's victory was a little bit soporific, clearly. It's a very hot day. I don't really blame too many of the fans for having a bit of a doze as Kazuya Oshima's car is wheeled away, and he's got to get ready for race 101 that he will take on tomorrow. It will also be the 75th start tomorrow for Kamui Kobayashi. Let's see if he can finally get the monkey off his back and go for a much hoped for by many of his fans race victory. It's been a real family affair here at Fuji. It's been a festival of a weekend, and the first part is completed admirably. And we've had an amazing amount of excitement here at Fuji Speedway. Tsuboi, well, it's business as usual. He takes the lead, he disappears, he pits, he grabs the lead again, and disappears again. 5 wins here at Fuji for Tsuboi, 4 of them now consecutively. He takes the lead of the championship away from the Docomo Dandelions, and if he's got any say in the matter, he'll just continue doing what he does best here at Fuji Speedway tomorrow. Join us again from me, Jake Sanson, from my colleague Jamie Klein, from our producer Dennis Edismenko, and our statistician Jens Sabota. We'll be back in action again tomorrow on the SF Go app and on Motorsport TV. Can anybody beat Tsuboi? You'll have to tune in to find out. What did Fukuzumi do from that 3rd position on the grid? He's been a qualifying specialist here at Fuji in the past. He's put the KCMG into 3rd position. They are still looking as a team for that elusive first race victory. And can anybody beat this man when he's in the zone? Tomoka Najiri disappears again. 5 wins here at Fuji for Tsuboi, 4 of them now consecutively. He takes the lead of the championship away from the Docomo Dandelions, and if he's got any say in the matter, he'll